Okay, so let's talk about AI agents. It's a term that's just everywhere right now, isn't it? It's the latest big buzzword. And if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, all right, what does that actually mean? Is it just a fancy new name for a chatbot, or are we talking about something completely different? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
And hey, if you've been feeling a little confused by it all, you are in really good company. I mean, this quote is from Harrison Chase, the CEO of LangChain. He's, a major player in this whole space. He says he gets asked this question daily. And that tells you everything you need to know, right? Even the people building this stuff are trying to figure out the best way to explain it.
So, what's the deal? Why is it so hard to just get a straight answer on this? Well, the simple reason is that AI agent isn't just one single thing. It's not a checkbox, yes or no. It's actually a whole spectrum of capabilities, from really simple automated tasks all the way up to these super complex systems that, honestly, almost seem like they're thinking for themselves. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll ask, what even is an AI agent? Then we'll introduce this idea of an agentic spectrum, which I think is a much better way to look at it. After that, we'll get into how these things actually take action. Then the big one, why this changes everything. And finally, we'll look ahead at what this all means for the future.
All right, let's dive into our first section. What is an AI agent? Time to move beyond the buzzword.
Okay, and this slide right here, this is pretty much the heart of all the confusion. On one hand, you've got the technical definition, and honestly, it's kind of broad. It's basically any application where an LLM is deciding what happens next. It's in charge of the control flow. But then you have what we all picture in our heads, right? This advanced, autonomous, maybe even human-like system. And that gap between the technical definition and what we think it is, it's massive. So if yes or no doesn't work, what's a better way to think about this? That brings us to our next section, introducing the agentic spectrum. This, I think, is a much more useful framework. Yeah, so this idea comes from AI pioneer Andrew Ng, and it's brilliant. He basically says, look, let's stop arguing about what is or isn't a true AI agent. Instead, we should be asking a different question. How agentic is it? The best analogy here is self-driving cars. You know how we have levels of autonomous driving? Level 1, Level 2, Level 5? It's not just on or off. Well, AI agents are a lot like that.
So let's walk through what the spectrum actually looks like in practice. At the very beginning, the least agentic level, you have something like a router. Super simple. It's just an LLM making a basic choice, like, does this customer email go to sales or support? That's it. Okay, take one step up and you get a state machine. This is a bit smarter. It can loop. The LLM can decide, should I try this again or am I done? Think about a password reset flow that keeps prompting you. Then you get to the far end of the spectrum, the autonomous agent. Now we're talking. This is a system that can actually create its own tools and then use them later to achieve a big goal.
Okay, so we've got this spectrum of autonomy, but what does it really mean when we say an agent can take action? How do they go from just generating things to actually doing things? This is a super important difference to understand. This sales executive example nails it perfectly. Look, with the kind of generative AI we're all used to, you might say, hey, write an email to my top 10 customers. And what do you get? You get the text of an email. You still have to copy it, paste it, and send it yourself. But with an agentic AI, the prompt changes. You give it a goal, invite my top 10 customers to dinner. And the output, it's not text. The emails are just sent. The action is done. That's the leap from generating stuff for you to do to just doing it for you. So you might be wondering, how does it actually do this? Well, it's not magic, it's tools. It connects to your other apps using APIs. It can browse websites just like a person to get information. It can get into your CRM or your email client. And this last part is key. It learns from what it does. It creates this feedback loop, sometimes called a data flywheel, so it gets smarter and more effective over time. Now, this ability to take action is obviously a massive deal. It's a huge leap forward, but it also creates a whole bunch of new problems and challenges for the people who actually have to build and run these things. Let's talk about that ripple effect. And here's the bottom line. It's pretty simple, really. The more agentic a system is, the more complex it gets. It's harder to build, it's harder to run, and maybe most importantly, it's harder to evaluate and trust. So when you're trying to build and run these things, you suddenly need a whole new set of tools. You need a proper orchestration framework just to manage all the branching paths and loops they can take. You need something called durable execution, because these tasks might run for hours or even days in the background, and you need to make sure they don't just crash and disappear.
And this one's huge, you absolutely need a way to have a human in the loop, so someone can watch what's happening and step in if the agent starts going off the rails. And it's not just building them. Testing and monitoring them is a whole different ballgame. You can't just look at the final output anymore and say, yep, that's correct. You need advanced evaluation that looks at every single step the agent took along the way. Did it make a good decision here? Did it use the right tool there? And to do that, you need brand new monitoring tools that can give you that deep visibility, that can let you drill down into every single decision it makes.
So, when you step back and look at all of this, it becomes pretty clear that the future is agentic. We're not just talking about a small update here. This is a really fundamental shift in how we're going to interact with AI. And that brings us back to Harrison Chase for one final, really critical point. As your application gets more and more agentic, you absolutely need new tooling and infrastructure. This isn't just a software patch, it's an infrastructure shift. Because as AI goes from just generating things to actually doing things, we have to rethink the entire stack of how we build, run, and trust these systems from the ground up. Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question for the future, doesn't it? As these AI agents get more and more powerful, more and more autonomous, where do we draw the line? What's the one thing, the one task or decision that we should never let them do? That's something I think we all need to be thinking about, and thinking about now.